I got the inspiration for the start of this video from a subscriber that just sent me an email literally 10 minutes before I'm going to record this. And the email was very short and simple. Can I RV on $3,000 a month? And the answer is, for us, absolutely no. But the answer for many people is, of course you can. And the chasm in between absolutely not and of course you can is extremely wide. And unless you put the time and effort in to find a channel, whether it's our channel or somebody else's channel, to delve into what it really costs and the things that will trip you up along the way, you really don't know if it's for you. Now, to give you some background for the folks that just dropped in on this channel and they don't know me from Adam, my name is Mark, my wife is Sue, we have the channel Our Journey in Miles, and we've been RVing full-time since June of 2017. So that's a fairly long time now. We're looking at 61 months in. I'm telling you, it went like that. When you're having fun, time flies. And we have a lot more data to be able to offer you now than we did on the first 3 cost videos that we did. Now, I had thought that I would never do another one of these again because they're unbelievably painful in tracking all these costs in terms of you knowing what you're spending and trying to make it accurate enough so that later on I can put it all together and bring you a video like this. For these numbers to mean anything to you, you need to know our RV styling. And then the value of you sending, and later on in the end of this video, I'll show how you can send me an email, doesn't cost you anything. I'll send you this spreadsheet that's set up intentionally about as easy as you can get, just filling in values along the way. You want to put your numbers in and you want to get an answer right away. Holy cats, this is way more expensive than I thought. How can I change things to make sure that I can RV, or I'll never be able to afford it, or hey, no problem, we're good to go. One of the things we're going to talk about in this video is that if you buy the wrong piece of equipment right out of the chute, you have set in concrete a lot of your fixed cost that you really can't do anything about. So my advice to you is the first way to save money on RVing is spend an inordinate amount of time trying to buy your first rig last. Try to really talk to your spouse or your travel partner on what your expectations are, how you're going to travel, and what kind of style of travel you're going to do. Make sure that you're both on the same page. Make sure that you're not a tourist, but your travel partner maybe is a camper. These are very different ways to use your RV, very different parks that you're going to be getting into. And if you're driving something that's too big, too fancy, too inflexible, you're never going to be doing the kind of camping that your travel partner wants to. So make sure you have these conversations up front. You need to know if whoever you're traveling with wants to rough it. Do they want to boondock? Do they want to be out in the desert, the Pacific Southwest, and just enjoy everything that has to be? Or I'm kind of a pedestal princess. I like my 50 amp. I like to be able to plug everything in and have it work. I like to use the washer and dryer and stuff like that. That's not to say that doing the boondocking thing is bad. I'm just saying that that ship has kind of sailed for me because I'm 71 years old. When I look back when I was younger, I did do some of that and I loved it. So you have to make sure where you are in your life and where your travel partner is in their life right now. This spreadsheet that if you get to the end of the video, I'll tell you how you can get this sent to you. No, regardless of what style of RVing you're going to use, you'll be able to whack away at this thing and make it work for you. The fact that I have all these numbers in here, if your travel style, for instance, was similar to Sue and mine, you've got kind of a comparison right off the bat. I might want to mention that the sheet that is hopefully scrolling underneath you does have a tab on the bottom that says your blank sheet. And that particular blank sheet on the bottom is the sheet that you will be able to fill in, and you can see that all along the left-hand column here, there's all the different things that you can fill in, and then across the bottom everything's going to add up, and lo and behold, before you know it, on the right hand side you're going to have your 12-month projected costs to RV. When you flip this tab on the bottom and you get back to ours, what you're going to have there is, you can see from June of 18, you're going to have every single dollar that we spent all the way through up till the present time of this recording, which is I think about June 28th or 29 of 2023. We had to make a decision if we were going to be different than all the other channels that record their costs. Well, we chose to do that. And the reason we did that was that when you're filling your chart out, when you first get it, if you don't really have a firm grasp on what you're spending right now in groceries, use our costs. You got to start somewhere. The last time I did this budget worksheet, I told myself I would never do it again because it was so much work, and it was in particular so much work for Sue. And if you scroll down from June of 21, our fixed cost on groceries is $851 per month. Now, that's because from June of 21 on, things that are fixed costs that, yes, they go up, but they were something that was a lot of trouble to keep track of and only so useful for you guys, the subscribers. I've frozen those in time and just strung them across so that that cost is in there, but it isn't near as accurate as it was at that time back in 21 when we did it. So the basic is as stripped down of the RV monthly cost as I could, and the OGM column that we're going to be talking about is all of the monthly averages and the cumulative total over the 61 months. So I was able to take that cumulative total and divide it by 61. So over 61 months, you could see that we have driven a total mileage of almost 33,000 miles, and we've driven the Honda about 37,000 miles. So we've got 70,000 miles of driving around in one vehicle or the other. So you could see why eventually the costs to maintain this equipment starts to add up. How many times have we moved the RV in those 61 months? Well, 179 times. So that averages out to about 3 times per month we end up moving. You can see that over 6 years, we only spent 7 days in hotels getting our repairs done on our motorhome. And you might go, wow, that's a lot. I got news for you. That's nothing. If you pick the wrong repair facility to go to, that number is going to be 50, 60, or 70 days, because they're going to just tell you, park it in the back 40, and they're going to get to you. In our playlist, we have probably, I don't even want to say how many videos we have for the company that we go to. We go to National RV Centers. They have, I think, 6 different locations now, US-wide. They are very plugged into what it's like to be people like Sue and I, where we live in the thing, and the minute we have a repair that would require us to stay in a hotel, and all of a sudden the repair is going to cost us, $150 a day more being in a hotel and cooking our own meals, they're very accommodating for repairs. That's why our number is so low out of 61 days. How much lower, you might ask? Well, look at the next number, 56 days in free stays in repair facilities. Imagine if we had to pay 56 days at, let's say, $140, $150 for a hotel, plus the cost of cooking all your meals and all your laundry and all that kind of stuff. Being able to get repaired while you're also staying in the vehicle at a repair facility is a big cost saving. So don't miss that piece and nugget of information on this chart. The next thing, 16 days we spent in the harvest host. We actually try to do that as much as we can. The length of our rig and what we want to look at and where we're going to park affects that a lot. 76 days we spent in a rally. Probably 31 days of those was when we were on the Adventure Caravan rally, so it was a little higher than most. Look at the next number. So in the 61 months that we've been RVing, we've spent 1,679 days in campgrounds. Now, that's when you start to realize how important it is to be in a campground that you actually want to be in. And we have it easy because Sue and I are not campers, we're tourists. So if I was to grab the camera right now, and I'm tempted to do it, but I don't want to because it takes a long time to get your camera in the right spot. If I was to walk out right now, I'm literally in a parking lot, an asphalt parking lot at the Wisconsin State Fair RV Park. And we love this park because the location is awesome. There's literally hundreds of things to do every week. The power's good, the water's good, it's cheap. I want to say it's like 30, if you pay the monthly rate, I don't think it's more than like $38 a month, a day to stay here. And it doesn't get much cheaper than that when the place is safe, is level, got good water, good power, and all that kind of stuff. The next line is the real corker for everybody. So the campsite average cost per night over 61 months of being full-time RV costs us $53.35. Every single day of the year, on average, $53.35 is flying out the window so that we can stay somewhere and be plugged in, and for the most part, always hooked up with full water and full hookups. Now, this is where you start to see that the style of camping can grossly affect your cost, because we never boondock. We never stay at Walmart. We never go to Cracker Barrel or any of these places. Cracker Barrel I would love to stay at, but I feel like I'm too big and too much of an inconvenience. Now, I know there's going to be 50 people are going to tell me that they pull all the time in there with their 65-footer. I'm a little bit more timid at it. I just choose not to do it. We also choose not to go to the Walmarts. If I stay at Walmart 20 times during the year, I don't think it's going to affect the fact that my 1,679 stays is going to come down that much. But for the folks that can embrace that, they're man enough to be able to pick these places out along the way, you can decrease your cost. You can also decrease your cost unbelievably if you're okay with the rules and regulations and locations that the Thousand Trails system has. We have plenty of people that we visit on the internet that we know that stay in the Thousand Trail system, and they save a ton of money. Now, typically, those people have been folks that prefer to live and stay in the Florida area for really long times, or they prefer to stay and live in the area of the Pacific Northwest or the Pacific Southwest, and they're okay with moving and following the rules of the way the system works. And here's the key, that they've paid enough money for their membership that they have the highest tier of the membership so that they can book out the longest, and they're willing to work with the rules and will get okay with that. We've decided that we're spoiled brats. We want to stay where we want to stay. We want to go where we want to go. We just chose early on not to join. I'm kind of thinking we probably should have when we first started. Maybe we wouldn't be so spoiled. But that definitely is probably the biggest money saver for you if staying in the Thousand Trails system, if you think you can make it work. Unless you can't afford to pay for it up front, I would say don't go through the company and buy a new one. That's typically when you have to finance your membership. If you can afford to pay outright, work with Kimberly at Campground Membership Outlet. And she has the reputation of being the most honest and understands these contracts that you're going to buy secondhand from somebody the best. And keep in mind that I said the word contract, because when you sign this, you're going to be signing on the dotted line to be liable to pay for this thing. I'll put her link down in the bottom, and if you end up buying a membership from them, mention us. We'll get a small token of our appreciation. But keep in mind, I did tell you that we chose not to be a member of it because we're spoiled brats and we like to go where we want to go. Here's a big one. You can see that we have no RV loan payment. So we have no costs for every month for an RV loan payment. And when you get down to the bottom of this list and you see what we spend every month, and you're going to go, and you don't even have an RV payment, stay tuned. So the next line, okay, in 61 months, we've spent $17,714 on diesel fuel. We get 6.5 miles a gallon on miles. So that ends up being $290 a month every single month for the 61 months that we've been RVing. DEF adds another 21 bucks a month. We have an all-electric coach, so we have no propane costs. If you have costs, you're going to want to include that in there. Our insurance. Now, this is something that is really been the most expensive for us. I insure to an exact value. I insure to $234,000 for our rig, and Progressive Insurance was one of the couple of 2-3 that allowed you, when you buy your rig brand new, or when you're the second owner and you have a real receipt and the rig is still relatively new, they will allow you to come up with a value, and if it's within reason, they will allow you to insure to that value. And now here's the important thing of that. That value is good for 10 years. So as the cost of your vehicle starts to plow into the ground and depreciate, you still have the agreed upon value if you would have a total through an accident or a fire or something like that would happen. So that was an important feature for me. I can tell you that I pay about $500 extra per year. The next line is towing insurance, CoachNet, and Progressive. You absolutely need to call your insurance company and add that to your insurance, their towing insurance. Even though when you do have to be towed, you want to use CoachNet, you want to have the towing insurance on your insurance policy, because if you ever get in an accident and you're in traffic, the police are going to call Billy Bob's Towing. You are going to be off that freeway before your head stops spinning. They will probably not be a member of the CoachNet membership network. CoachNet might decide that in that particular instance they will pay, but technically speaking, CoachNet, and you can check me on this and you can call them, technically CoachNet is roadside assistance, and an accident towing is not roadside assistance. The next one, line 21, RV repairs, that's a real corker. If anybody's been watching our channel for any amount of time, and I'll link up in the corner here somewhere, some of the past expensive repairs that we've had some literally $20,000 repairs that weren't really out of the ordinary. My rig is 10 years old and I live in it full time. My furnace, my boiler for my hot water is a miracle contraption that's about this square. It's about, I don't know, $6,000 gadget, and then another $3,000 pumping mechanism that then has to, hook up and talk to the control system up here, and it's cooking away all the time. After 10 years, it sprung a leak. It gave up the ghost, and I had a choice. Stop RVing and try to sell one with a furnace and a water heater that doesn't work, or fix it. I had to fix it. That's the type of thing that a motorhome that's got all of this fancy equipment in it gets you into. We talked in the beginning of this video about how you lock in place a lot of times your costs to RV forever with just the style of equipment that you are owning. If I was owning a much different type of equipment that had a Suburban water heater that was either propane or electric and propane, and it took a dump, it might be $1,000 to replace, or it might be $800, or it might even be something that you could do yourself, because you could go to Camping World and you could take one out that's this big and it's like a big pancake and yank it out. This thing was super heavy, super technical, 1 million wires, 500,000 pipes. I wasn't doing it. You can see that when you get this chart from me, there's little pop-ups, and each of these Excel spreadsheets that has a little blue icon in the upper right hand corner. You can click on it and you can see some of the information that will clue you in a little bit on why in the heck did the Chan Man spend $17,375 on November in 22 getting something repaired. You'll see this one, I just picked it by chance, $4,800 I spent at Bauer Upholstery. I'll put the video up in the corner. That's the place to go. That's the place you want to visit. Routine maintenance, $325 per month is the amortized cost, what I spend maintaining this thing over 61 months. Every one of those 61 months, $325 went out the door. Well, how could that be? Well, we've got generator maintenance, oil, a swimming pool full of oil in my transmission. So I kind of broke it down when I thought something was a repair versus new roof AC. I've had tons of those put on. I finally got smart and I have the soft starts installed on all of my ACs now. So hopefully those will end up lasting a lot longer. Those two costs that I gave you, as unbelievable as it sounds, did not include tires. And so I've spent $9,500 on tire replacements and retro bands. The retro bands were, I think, $4,500 for the retro band. So over 61 months, that's $156 a month you would want to budget for your tires, because sooner or later that bill's going to come due. Waxing and washing, you can choose to do this yourself. It is an immense job. We pay to have it done periodically. That comes out to about $45 a month. We've spent $2,750 over the past 61 months having that done. We don't have a loan payment on our Honda. So when you look at the bottom of the line, what we spend, keep in mind, no RV payment, no Honda payment. Our van insurance has kind of gotten a little out of control. I don't know why. I have Progressive insurance with that too. There's some logic in having the same insurance with your rig and versus your towed, because if you do get in an accident and you have 2 different insurance carriers, now you're dealing with 2 different accidents. And now on your license and on your driving record, will it look like you have 2 accidents when in fact you had 1 accident? It starts to get dicey. Will you have 2 deductibles to deal with versus 1 deductible? If you don't have a number, use our number. We spend $86 a month fueling up our tow vehicle. Use our number for maintaining our tow vehicle. I replace my transmission fluid literally every year, as well as my oil. Comes out to $116 a month to maintain that thing. Car washes, the umbrella. We have, I think, a $2 million umbrella. You always want to have that. You don't know what's going to happen in your life. Here's the grocery thing. Okay, remember I told you from June 21 on, we just froze it at $851 a month. Restaurants, we spend about $300 a month. We don't try to go out to eat that much because calorie-wise, it's tough to keep track of things. But I'm here to tell you that when you're a full-time tourist like we are, you are out and about. Our entertainment costs, I think I froze that also, yeah, at $232 a month. Laundry fees, we have our own washer and dryer on board. That became really important during COVID. We recently had ours break down. We only have $12 a month year-round that we use it. We typically use it when we have to wash our comforter because it won't fit in our smaller washer and dryer. We have a two units, not one. I've left a space here. If you have pets, you're going to have pet supplies. You're going to have vet bills, cell phones. We have 2 AT&T cell phones. I did leave a space in here for DirecTV and satellite TV. We don't have any. We're too busy making TV for you guys to watch. We appreciate everybody that's watching, especially if you've watched this far. Starlink subscription, we do not have this yet, but we will eventually. Recently, I finally broke down and added in our Sirius radio. It has been a game changer for us in terms of the pleasure listening to different things while we're traveling. We put in our dental in here. We spent $15,000 on things, relatively normal expenses. Crown falling out every once in a while. I've got some calves on the front. I've had that on the channel. Give you a big smile with one of them missing. There probably wasn't anything odd in there. The occasional root canal. Medical insurance, ours is paid retirement benefit. If you have to pay per month and contribute to yours, make sure you put something in there. The medical deductible expenses, they can add up. I would suggest putting something in there for that. Prescriptions, I'm on cholesterol meds and seems like hardly anything, and even at that it ends up being $40 a month. What was missing on this space here, and that was our mail forwarding service, St. Brendan's Isle. It's located in Florida. It's a service that we use to receive all of our mail. That's our legal address that we use. Our insurance is based on our legal address, which is in Florida, which is at wherever St. Brendan's Isle is. And that determines where our voting registration is and all things like that. When you select your domicile state, you also want to be very particular about making sure that the health insurance that you have will in fact work correctly in that state. I remember when the ACA first came out and a lot of people were on health insurance through the government, that I think it was the state of South Dakota was a good one where people were domiciling a lot in, and then all of a sudden their insurance was only good in that state when they were in that state, and they got tripped up a lot. So be real careful where you decide to domicile. Travel expenses back home. Sue is probably going to be upping this number. We spent $4,865 over 61 months flying her back and forth, and the expenses while she's there visiting her mom and her family. You can't expect your travel partner to cut everybody off. I'm very thankful that Sue has decided to dedicate so much of her life to being with me. The cash leak on row 52 is the $200 we estimate every month just disappears somewhere. You're walking around, all of a sudden you buy something for, $13. And then the next time you buy something, it's, $9. Remember, it's always an odd number. And all this stuff adds up to an even number, and we chose $200. The next line, row 53, All Stays, Costco, Good Sam's, Harvest Host, Passport, Trip Wizard. You gotta have Trip Wizard. Check out Sue's excellent video on how to use it and why it's important to you as an RVer. I'll put that up in the corner. TrailLink, how do we find the bike paths that we go on? That all adds all up. $57 a month out the window paying for that. The last line here you won't find on many budget videos like this, and it's the delayed cost of RVing. Sooner or later, you're going to sell this thing. Sooner or later, you've got to get back to your normal life. Now, there's the exception, somebody that decides to live in an RV and they just live in it right to the end. We want to travel in an RV. We want to live and camp in an RV. But when it gets to the point where we're not traveling and we're not tourists, we don't want to live in an RV. We want to live in a house, in a condo, in a community with some infrastructure. So we will be selling ours, and we will be having this cost someday filled in on this chart. The delayed loss or the cost to RV for the first year of depreciation is about 20%. So if you paid $100,000 for your RV, the first year you're going to lose $20,000 divided by 12. That's your monthly loss. And then all the years after that, I have 8%. And sooner or later, your RV will kind of get down to a steady state number, but that's a real cost to consider when you are finally going to stop RVing, and you need to know that that money that you once had is gone. We're not complaining. We're not telling you it's not worth it. The overall experience of RVing has been fantastic for us. The RV for us has been a magic carpet for Sue and I to visit and do and see the many things that we've done on this channel. If you look back at the 272 videos that we made up to this point, you can see that we've done a lot with the money that we've spent here. And you can't have it both ways. If you want to save money and not spend anything, sit in the chair that you're sitting in right now and do nothing. That's about as cheap as it gets. We don't have a mortgage. We don't have any maintenance fees. We don't have any utilities. We wish we did have a home base. We wish we had enough money to do that. We wish we would have picked the right place to live in the first time. I mean, if you live in a beautiful place in Florida, don't sell everything to do what we're doing. If you can keep your place in place, you are on the real estate market curve, and you're doing and preserving your wealth and building your wealth, and you can stay in your place during the time people like me are flocking there. I'm going to be paying $3,100 every month at the resort that we're going to be staying at in Florida in December, January, February, and March. We applaud people that can keep the house that they know and love. We aren't one of those people that say, you want to sell it all and throw caution to the wind. No, we sold our place because we couldn't probably afford to do both at the same time, and we didn't want to deal with being a landlord. Big savings for us, we threw everything out. We didn't save anything. Obviously, we saved pictures, we saved some tools, we saved some mementos, a couple of things. We've got them stored at Sue's sister's house. Toll roads adds up to a trivial amount. We have that attached to our TSD account. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about TSD now that I'm reminded about it. When I first started here and I showed you that we spend an average of $290 every month for the last 61 months that we've been RVing, and we've spent a total of $17,714 on fuel. We're a member of the TSD Logistics EFS card. That card name has since been changed to the Open Roads app, or the Open Roads Fuel Discount Program. It's a program that's free to join, doesn't cost you anything, and it's basically a debit card that you hook a checking account or a savings account up to. Now, for the folks that want to join this but don't really understand how it works, we've did a number of videos on it. We highly recommend it. Our most recent one is only about 6 or 9 months old. I'll put a link up in the corner and you can check out how it works. In that video, there's an address that you can send an email to us to ask us to send you our current chart. Our chart is current up till the last fuel stop that we had, now that we're stationary. It shows you that over the 40 fill-ups that I've used it, I've averaged, just by memory, I'm going to say 44 cents off the pump price at the big boy truck stops. Take a look at that video, see if it's something for you. Doesn't cost you anything, and it's a free debit card. If you do sign up, we'd appreciate it if you use us as a referral. We will get a small token for that, and trust me, you'll be glad you did. So let's look and talk about the bottom line. I'm sure you guys peeked at the bottom line already, and you're like, unbelievable. There's probably people that looked at the bottom line and clicked away already. So what does this mean here? It means that we spend right now, the way we RV, and if you're familiar with the channel, you know how we RV. If you're not familiar with the channel, scroll a little bit around and pick a couple of the ones to see what does miles look like. It's a 2014 Newmar Dutch Star. We spend $6,173 every single month doing this. Now the column that's next to us says that we would spend $3,188 per month doing this if I take out of the chart all of the things that you see these little dash marks in. I did leave the maintenance and repairs in, and you can decrease those if you're driving something that doesn't have an engine in it and a steering wheel like you see in back of me. But after I've chopped all of those costs out, you can still see how expensive it is to own and operate a motorhome. So we come back to the beginning of this video when the poor soul asked me, can you RV on $3,000 a month? My answer is apparently no. You'd be $188 short, and you wouldn't be able to eat, and you wouldn't be able to go to the doctor and all that kind of stuff. That's being funny, but the reality is you can RV for that level. You just can't probably do it in what we're doing it in. You need to select something that isn't going to have another engine and transmission in it, and something that isn't going to have fancy electronics and fancy boilers and all that kind of stuff that we have to deal with all the time. If you can't afford the $6,173 that we're spending, and trust me, we can barely afford it. We're at a point now where we're going to have to start hitting our 401k. But I'm 71 years old, and Sue is going to be 66, or I think she's 66. We've planned to spend some of the money in our 401k. So we're on plan, but we're right at the edge of affordability, what we're doing here. If you can't afford this level, but you have the burning desire to do what we're doing, start looking at equipment that might be more reasonably priced. Step away from a Class A motorhome, and especially if you already own a truck. So only you can decide what you can change on our costs to be able to make it affordable for you. I guess in closing, I want to say that I hope I didn't discourage anybody. My hope was that what I was able to do was educate you on what you can expect once you fill this chart out with all of your costs. Now, the chart you'll be filling out will look like this one here. And you can see it's a lot simpler when it doesn't have 61 months in it. I've given it to you so you can fill in 12 months here. So if you would like this cost sheet sent to you, all you have to do is send an email to me at ourjourneyinmiles@gmail.com. Miles is spelled M-Y-L-E-S, M-Y-L-E-S, ourjourneyinmiles@gmail.com, and put in the subject line cost sheet, and I'll send this out to you. So until we get to see you someday in person, or if we get to see you in one of the campgrounds around here, if the best we can do is see you next Sunday when you stop in to check out another adventure of Our Journey in Miles, we'll take it. We'll see you then.